guys, it's Ahmer here. So with video game convention season right around the corner, I wanted to ask a question. Are there too many video game conventions, and when is enough enough? Let's go ahead and talk about it. So are there too many video game conventions out there, and are they essentially too expensive? Who would go to multiple video game conventions, and why would they spend all of this money out there? So these are just questions that I often hear, so I wanted to go ahead and talk about it. But before we do, if you guys enjoy this content, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification so that you never miss out. What is a video game convention? It is a large gathering of people who share some sort of similar interest, and they go to these video game meetups where they have different vendors, they have cosplayers, they have celebrity guests, they have voice actors. They have so much at these places. You can buy video games, you can play video games, and it's just this whole entire spectacular event where they have so much cool stuff at. So essentially those are the video game conventions that I'm talking about. Now, they have been around for such a long time, and most of the time people know some of the bigger titles like E3, where you learn all of this different stuff about these big major video game developers, which has definitely changed over time. And then we even have PAX East, PAX West. There's just so many big titles, and even Comic-Con. A lot of people know those names. Well, there are so many more out there. These little smaller conventions that are across all of the different states and essentially the world. There's just so many different video game conventions out there, and it feels like every time you turn around, each weekend, there is essentially another convention, another meeting, another group of people getting together and having these big events, whether they're 1 day or 3 days or even more. So, what is the deal with all of this? Are there essentially too many conventions out there? There's just so many. How does one person go to all of these different conventions? And what is the deal with this? So, before COVID actually hit, before the pandemic, so many people were going to all of these different conventions, and then as soon as that actually hit, a lot of conventions essentially shut down. They weren't having these big meetings, these big gatherings. A lot of things went digital, a lot of things went online. You just didn't have the same feeling. Well, now that everything is starting to open up, it feels like there are just more now than ever. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. So one of my favorite things to do at video game conventions is actually meet some of my favorite celebrities. So you meet all of those different voice actors, you meet the game developers, people who take pride in these games and creating all of this content for everyone out there. They just have so many different special guests at a lot of these different conventions. You can even meet some of your favorite YouTube stars. You could just meet so many different content creators, and of course the list goes on. They have tons of cosplayers there, people who are just so passionate about the video game industry, and it's really neat to see a lot of these smaller indie style game developers there as well. So it's just a really cool place to just meet all of these people. And then I love seeing video game vendors, different stores out there who sell merchandise. So you can pick up your favorite games, favorite items, just things that maybe you were looking for when you actually go to these conventions. There's so many different artists. There's just tons of different people who create specialty items that you just don't see out there every day. So as you're going through these conventions, it's really cool because, usually you have to bring a few dollars, at least if you want to get some sort of autograph, if you want to take a picture, or just buy something that someone has made, or even video games. All of these different tables, these different vendors, people setting up with tons, thousands upon thousands of video games and systems, and just the list goes on. So you may actually find some really cool items while you're out and about video game shopping. So I just love going to these conventions because it's different items than what you may see in your particular area. So if you frequent the same video game stores over and over again and their inventory only slightly changes, it's really cool to go to these conventions, these shows, where you see just a vast majority of these items that maybe you were out there looking for. You just couldn't find in person, and maybe you didn't want to pay all these crazy insane prices online. You can actually make these deals while you're at conventions. Sometimes if the convention is a couple days long, then on the last day you can make some of the best deals, because that person who set up all of these video game items, maybe they don't want to haul all of that stuff back, to whichever store or state or wherever they're going. Maybe you can kind of wheel and deal some of these awesome items, make these bundle deals, kind of make a deal that maybe you normally wouldn't have gotten, but because of convenience, it kind of goes in your favor. And then another cool thing about these video game conventions is that they have designated play areas. So some of them actually have pinball machines, arcade machines, and typically they are set to free play so that everyone can enjoy these games. They can experience some of these arcade games that maybe they haven't seen in years, and maybe some of these games are some of like these up and new coming games that they just have not seen in their area. I always have a blast spending time and actually playing these games, as I really enjoy some of the different arcade cabinets and pinball machines that I just wouldn't see elsewhere. And because they are so big, bulky, and expensive, it's just really hard to find some of those specific ones in my particular area. And then they even have a whole designated area, at least several that I have been to, where people who are passionate about kind of modding systems, or even like keeping a lot of this hardware up and alive for just computers and video game consoles. So they'll have tons of monitors, tons of TVs set up. They have just different gaming systems, some that are rare and some that you may not have even heard of, or some that you don't even remember from back in your childhood. So it's really cool to see some of this stuff and just to kind of like move from seat to seat and just play and give a try to some of these games, some of these, retro games, and the passion. Just keep all of that stuff alive. So that is something that's really cool that I enjoy seeing. And then it doesn't even stop there. Sometimes at game conventions, you have these really cool competitions. So you pretty much just sign up, wait in line, and you may be able to compete in like a Smash Brothers tournament, Tetris, or even like a Street Fighter, where you just go up against other people who are from a different area, who think that they're, the best fighter or the best video game player or the best whatever in the world, and you can actually go up and compete, test your skills, and just see how you play against someone else. So it's definitely a fun time, really cool place, and I've seen a lot of these conventions actually do these like little tournaments and competitions, and then sometimes you even win really cool prizes. So it's just so cool to see that. And then another neat thing about these video game conventions is everywhere you go, they all have different panels. So they pretty much have like these big rooms set up, and they're kind of scattered throughout the entire convention. So whether they're a couple days in a row or just one day, so you'll have something from like usually hour increments, and you'll have like YouTubers, celebrities, just different people who want to host these conventions, like special guests, and they'll have this whole entire table. Sometimes they'll have a monitor or like a screen or something set up, and they'll do something that's a little bit interactive with the community. And you may be able to ask some questions, kind of like a Q&A style, or they may even talk about a topic that they're very passionate about. So it's really cool to see that and see everyone get together. And, if you ever were bored at a video game convention, which I highly doubt it because they typically go so fast, you do have different options so that you can stay, busy, just moving from station to station and just really enjoying the most out of this experience. Now, something that I've also seen at a couple different video game conventions are like cosplayers. They have these different special guests where you could take these pictures, you could see some of your favorite video game characters come to life, and these people are just so passionate about bringing that experience to whoever is present at these conventions. And I've even seen some wacky conventions where they have like a full-size wrestling ring, and they have different characters who are in cosplay, and they are just wrestling against one another. So you'll see like Mario body slam Luigi, and you'll just see like a crisscross of different video game characters, and it's just so much fun to see. And then even after these conventions end, you'll see like these special music guests. So they might even have musical artists or different guests, or even like video game musical artists. So it's just a really good time, and the party just keeps going. It's just so much fun and really always a blast anytime that I go. So now to some of the downfalls about a convention. Typically, you have a cost when you go into these conventions, and sometimes, depending on how much stuff they have, with different vendors, different celebrities, different special guests, different, events going on, sometimes those tickets can be a little costly, so you may actually have to budget throughout the year and pick and choose which conventions you're going to. Are you going to ones that are, in your particular area? Are you going to travel? Are you going to spend money on gas, on different vehicles, or even an airplane, trying to get those tickets and get hotels? Now, most of the time, they will kind of let you know through the convention which hotel they're actually using so that you can get the room blocks that they actually, get in advance so that you can hopefully get a cheaper price than just a regular normal night at that particular hotel. So that's always something that you have to keep in mind because these things can be a little bit pricey. They can be expensive, but just going there and seeing the community, all of these alike people just like you, I really don't think that there are too many conventions out there. There's just really not enough in my opinion, as there are so many different people who enjoy video games, so many people who just don't have these big stores and big events in their area, and they're sadly missing out. So I just feel like it's great to see all of these different conventions come to life, see all of these different communities come together, and see all of these different people attend each and every single convention that they possibly can. And it's really a great time, and each time I go, I experience something a little bit different. So I just wanted to get your opinion on this topic. Do you think that there are too many video game conventions out there? Do you think that they're just insanely crazy for the price? Do you think that they're overhyped? Or do you think that there should be more, or at least more in your particular area? Just let me know in the comments below, and of course, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go ahead and check out my other videos and stay tuned for more.